The 201st edition of the Roy's Boys podcast starts right now.
Carolina basketball family is the strongest there's ever been, there ever will be.
Eight up freehand, King rights the ball. Pushes into Hubert Davis. 8 seconds. Davis trying to get free. Over to Fox. Fox, baseline. Up for the shot, dive off the glass. Oklahoma calls timeout, but the game is over. The game is over. Carolina has upset number 1 Oklahoma. Been ready on his second attempt. That one is no good. They battle for it. Loose ball. Recovered Marvin. He scores.
With 20 seconds left to play, goes back to Michael Jordan. Jumper from out on the left. Good! 63, 62, 13, 12, 11. Georgetown with one timeout. Brent Brown looking. Throw away to Worthy. 35. The Tar Heels are going to win the national championship. Carolina with foul. He takes the timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul.
Brown gets it into Williams. Here comes Williams front court. Williams on the drive. Gets it back out the head. Long outside shot. Short rebound. And how about the Tar Heels? They are the national champions.
The Tar Heels are the national daggum champions.
And that's what it takes when you big time games. You got to compete. You do it with your brain, and you got to do it with your heart too. And that's pretty doggone good.
From QCBroadcasting.com, this is the Roy's Boys podcast with your host, Josh Marlowe. I'm now joined by Quierra Luck of Sports Illustrated's Tar Heel Maven website. Quierra, how's it going today?
It's going well. How are you?
Not too bad. Really excited to talk about the Tar Heels with you, and let's dive right into this thing. Carolina was preseason picked to finish 4th in the ACC and wound up finishing 6th. Then they had a first-round exit in the NCAA tournament. Was this season more of a failure than a success for the Tar Heels?
For me, it was a happy medium. I think with everything on, it's been an unprecedented season. So, but how they handled it, I think that pretty well. And I think it'll look better to a more stable season here.
While we'll never be able to truly measure the effect COVID had on the season, how much do you think COVID hindered this team from becoming the best version of itself?
I would say, if I could put a number on it, probably about maybe 60%. And I say that because, the summertime is where the kids really get together and they spend a lot of their time and they practice, they're on the court, they're building those bonds, and that wasn't here this season. So when you take away months of playing time and months of being able to kind of build that chemistry, it can definitely affect the season.
Despite not winning 20 games for just the third time under Roy Williams, Williams still had some milestone moments this season, winning his 900th game overall as a head coach, and he passed Bob Knight in the all-times win list. I've asked many people this and got many different answers. In your opinion, is Williams underrated and underappreciated both nationally and by us Tar Heel fans alike?
No, I think for Coach Williams, I think it's a compliment that people just expect such a championship for him. I don't think it's underrated or underappreciated. I think all of us look at Roy Williams as the pedestal of what a head college basketball coach should be. And, for Carolina fans, the baseline is championships. That's it. So when that's not achieved, a lot of times it can cause frustration for fans because the pedigree of winning is at Carolina. So, if anything, I think the expectations are crazy high for Coach Williams because it's always championship or nothing else.
We know we're on the back end of his coaching career. So what was your reaction when he kissed the floor at the Smith Center after the season finale win over Duke?
I didn't think much of it. I think people underestimate how much Coach Williams really loves this program and he loves being at home. With such an unprecedented season, to be able to go undefeated at home and to be able to make that place sacred was super important for him. Throughout most of his press conferences, COVID was very much a part of the conversation because he wanted us to be safe. He understood the changes that COVID made to the season, and so being able to complete a season at home, to complete it undefeated, was very much a huge milestone, just as much as making 900.
After the season ended with that loss to Wisconsin, you were one of the first to report that a potential handful of players looked to transfer out of the program. How long had this been known as a possibility?
I would say a couple days, maybe. This season was kind of pretty much under wraps, and a lot of stuff was close to the chest. But towards the end of the season, I heard a lot of rumblings. I kind of got confirmation a couple days before.
Walker Kessler was the first to announce his decision to leave Chapel Hill. Did his decision to leave surprise you in any way?
Yes and no. Yes, because I understand probably his frustration with wanting to compete a different way with the Carolina program. And wait, hold on, I said that backwards. No, because I understood how he wanted to be used within the system,
right.
And yes, because you just knew that next year was going to be his year, right? You just knew that he was going to possibly be a starter, because I think all of us pretty much knew that Dayron was going to leave. I think the first couple of games in, we saw how impactful Dayron was. There's no way that he was staying. So just to see that, or to think next year was going to be his year and he leaves, definitely kind of came as a surprise.
The departure of Walker Kessler, Dayron Sharp, Sterling Manley, and today they just lost Walker Miller has depleted Carolina's talented and very deep front court. How possible is that we see Garrison Brooks back for his super senior season next year?
I'm going to put it about at 75-25. Mm-hmm. I think Garrison returns. I just don't see it, for any student or any college athlete in his position, right? I don't see it being the smartest decision to go somewhere and play a year, especially if you go down a conference. Because why? Why would you go down here or go down a conference when you're here at Carolina? You're at your height. You have a strong possibility of starting next season. There's just no solid reasoning to leave unless you're just, completely happy with, whatever is going on. I do think that if he does leave, he goes pro. I think it's either pro or Carolina. That's my personal opinion. I think if you're going to play college ball, you play at Carolina. Like, you finish strong and you finish started.
There's over 1,000 lists of players listed in the ever-growing transfer portal. Do you think Carolina will explore the transfer portal as a way to add talent and, more importantly, depth to their front court?
Absolutely. There were also reportings out within just this week that Coach Williams has reached out to a couple of transfers. From my understanding, Carolina is looking for a stretch 4 and a 4. So somebody who can make an immediate impact. Somebody that doesn't need someone to come in, score, and just mesh well into the Carolina system. So I definitely think that Coach Williams uses a transfer portal to hit.
Caleb Love is coming back for a sophomore season. This will be the first time since the 2017-18 season that Carolina will return their starting point guard from the previous season. What do you think led to his decision to return to school? As he noted via Twitter, he has unfinished business.
I think for me, it's just proving a point. It's a principle now. Like, I feel like a lot of people doubted him. Possibly his NBA stock dipped a little bit, and now I think he has something to prove. Now it's you're no more Mr. Missouri, Mr. Gift of the Year, all the accolades that he accumulated in high school, that kind of slipped away. So now I need to prove something at Carolina. Like, I need to prove that I'm worth the jersey. I need to prove that I'm worth these minutes, that this program sought me out for a reason. And so Caleb comes back. I hope he comes back strong, and I hope he just comes back and kill it, because all of us know the potential of Caleb, right? We saw it against Duke and in other games. So we know the possibility of Caleb. We just want to see the consistency of Caleb.
A lot of Tar Heel fans were in the mindset that R.J. Davis will be going elsewhere to play college basketball. With Caleb Love's decision to come back, is it more likely that we see R.J. Davis in Chapel Hill next season?
Yeah, I think I think RJ stays. I don't see why RJ, but from my understanding, he does love Carolina. He loves where he is, and I don't see RJ deciding to leave.
I know it's hard to project as it's still March, but if you had to guess, what will the roster look like next season in terms of guys that are on the roster today? Is the window for players that play heavy minutes leaving, has that window closed now?
The roster for next season, I don't think we'll see too much more variation. I think we're still waiting on the decision of Armando and Garrison, but I think pretty much everything else stays the same. I think there is a couple of other players who are still on the fence, but I don't think there's too much more movement Carolina fans have to worry about. And I think we just have to realize that these are kids with really big decisions, and there's more to basketball that weighs on this. And this happens with all programs. As we see, there are like thousands of, or 1,000 kids
right.
in the transfer portal, right? Like, it's not just Carolina going through this, but, you know, being that Carolina is one of the largest fan bases in the entire world. Like, it's not in North Carolina. It's everywhere. It just impacts us a little bit more, and it grinds home because you don't want to see kids leave one of the best college programs in the country or in the world. So I think we just have to relax and let these kids make these decisions with their families and Coach Williams, and just have to trust the process. Coach Williams is really big on putting the kid first and making sure that their needs are met first. And he's always done that. He's an extremely loyal person. Above all things, every player will tell you that he's a great person. You know, he's not just a great coach. You may not agree with everything he coaches. Bottom line, he's a really great person. And so I really do think that he'll make the best decision for the kids in the program going forward.
One last thing before I get you out of here. You also reported that Roy Williams in the mindset that Carolina's going to get back to the old UNC way of playing. What does that entail for us heading into next season?
I think, more team ball, more togetherness, better chemistry, more consistency. I think consistency is probably the biggest thing. Like, the last couple of years, Carolina fans did not know what team was stepping onto that court.
Mm-hmm.
The couple of worst years Coach Williams has ever had in his career. So I think he's definitely going to make some changes so that those 2 years never happen again under his watch. You definitely want a team that everyone can expect, and that, makes people shake a little bit, because no one I feel like I feel like fear is a strong word, but the nervousness of playing Carolina has kind of eased up a bit, right? Like, teams feel like, they can come into the Dean Dome and just beat Chapel Hill. And I think, Roy Williams wants to put UNC back on that top tier level of blue bloods of college programs, that this is a premier school, this is an elite basketball program, and this is a basketball program that's consistent.
Lastly, Quierra, I mentioned that you write for Sports Illustrated. You're very active on Twitter. Where can Tar Heel fans find your work?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter or on social media at QUIERRA_LUCK. I do have a podcast with 05 NCAA champion and former Tar Heel David Noel called The Player and the Fan. We do talk nothing but Carolina basketball with a little ACC basketball sprinkled in there. And then I also have another podcast called Real Sports Heroes that I host. And I also have a group chat in the clubhouse with UNC's unofficial mascot, Brian, a.k.a. Dot, where, again, it's nothing but Carolina talk. So feel free to hit me up. I talk to everybody, and I would love more to get to it with you.
Well, Quierra, I appreciate you for coming on and talking about Carolina basketball. We'll do it down the line in the future.
Awesome.
All right, you have a good.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you. You have a great day. And there you go, guys. That is Quierra Luck, as she mentioned, from Sports Illustrated. She does a lot of work covering Carolina with players that have played for Carolina. And she will definitely be a part of the rotation of people we have on to talk about the Tar Heels moving forward. With that, we're going to let you, before we get out of here, talk to you guys about the website, HeelToughBlog.com. And, man, it's been blowing up the last couple of days as Carolina's got some news on the basketball front. They've reached out to a transfer from Florida, Noah Locke. Go read about my breakdown of what he did at Florida and how he'd helped Carolina. They also lost Walker Miller to the transfer portal today. You can find out that article, or read about that article as well on the website. As we got you covered wall-to-wall with basketball off-season coverage on the football side of things. Carolina had Pro Day on Monday. Anthony gave you a little Pro Day stock report about the guys as they get ready to go to the NFL. And then we'll have something up about the baseball team as they're coming off a weekend series against NC State. They lost last night to East Carolina. We'll get you ready for this weekend's series as well as they get further and further in ACC play. Last week, I encourage you guys to rate, review, and most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. You guys done a great job downloading the last couple episodes. We've had back-to-back episodes with